Hey guys, Josh here. So we're gonna start off with the materials. This is Strathmore bristles with a vellum surface to it. Using a number 2 pencil as well as 2 Blackwing pencils. Those are going to be to get darker values going in the drawing. And then also just your standard Prismacolor kneaded eraser, just to pull up highlights, fix mistakes. All right, so to start off, kind of the way that I go after these things is I start with the silhouette of the head. I try to capture the tilt of the head as well as the sweeping like angle of the neck, as well as anything else that kind of defines the big picture. If you were to like step back and take a look at the drawing, what stands out about it? So first I started off with just the head shape like you saw me do, and then I added some of the neck in. Then on top of that, I kind of add in to the best of my ability, just by eyeballing it, what the hair is doing. So I'm trying to think about the ratio of like how tall the face is that's exposed to how tall the hair is, as well as like how wide the head is in general to the height. Like I'm looking at stuff like that, even if I'm not really like dropping lines in or anything. And if anything feels off to me, then I kind of adjust accordingly. So here, I'm just kind of eyeballing in the ears where I think they're going. That could totally change. I could totally be wrong, but that's sort of, you want to try to get stuff down on the page so that you have stuff to measure and compare against. Drawings kind of go by a bit quicker and they're a bit easier to do that way. So I haven't done any measurements yet, but because this is just it's called like the lay-in phase. You're just trying to get in some of the big stuff. So now here comes the measurements. So the way that I do this, the first measurement, I think it's the most important one, is I look at my drawing and I try to measure from the bottom of the chin to the tear ducts of the eyes, and then I take that measurement and I put it on top of itself, and where it goes up to is typically supposed to be the top of the head minus the hair, but this is a child. The proportions of a child are a little bit different, so those proportions didn't quite make it to the top of the head. After that, I kind of eyeball where the brow line goes. So kind of not the top of the eyebrows, but it's just kind of where that bone would go. Sometimes it is the top of the brows, sometimes it's not. Then typically the next measurement is from the bottom of the chin to the bottom of the nose. So you see me here trying to measure that out. And my fingers kind of look off from where the hashes are because I was kind of like at a different angle. I wasn't kind of looking straight down like the camera is, but I think I kind of got it kind of close. So yeah, that's a really important measurement. From the brow line to the bottom of the nose is equal to the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin. That stuff can kind of change if the head's at a tilt, but especially just a straight on angle like this, that's kind of what it's going to be. And then I draw these lines heading horizontal just as an axis to help me figure out, to help me remember that and keep everything lined up. I get all the features lined up off that. I try not to worry too much about the width of the lips too much, especially until I get the eye in there. But you can see I kind of dropped some lines down kind of off where the nose form is. And when it comes to where the lips come down, the parting line of the lips, the common advice is that it's kind of a third of the way down from the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin. But I always try to eyeball it because sometimes I could get you into trouble. You'll see later on in the drawing, I actually kind of put the lips in the wrong spot, a little bit too low. That's kind of the trouble that I get into. That's my habit. But, you can work with it. Graphite's really flexible. That's why we get the kneaded eraser. And the important part about the lips is basically just make sure that you get the corners lined up. You don't want one corner kind of higher than the other. When it comes to the eyes, the important thing is usually you want to start with the tear duct being at the same kind of horizontal area as the nostrils. Just draw a line straight up off the outside of the nostrils and you'll get the tear duct. That's not always true. Some people have eyes that are closer together, some have eyes that are farther apart. But just as like the average starting point, that's where it'll be. And then you can kind of change it from there. And sort of when you're drawing the eyes, I can't stress enough, one of the things that'll make your eyes look more realistic is if you get the thickness of the eyelids drawn in, as well as sort of the shape of the tear duct. Like it's one big graphic shape. The shape of the eye, so like the iris and like all the dark parts of the eye, not the sclera, not the light part, but all the dark parts, as well as the eyelids. If you get all, and a bit of the tear duct also, if you make all that one graphic shape, then that'll take your drawings to the next level. When I say graphic shape, I just kind of mean it's one shape of the same value. That might not hold true all the way to the final drawing, but you know, just try to get that at least initially, as soon you'll see me do some shading. So really important thing is to drop horizontal lines off the top of the eye as well as the bottom of the eye. That'll help you keep everything lined up. You know, if your eyes are kind of, one's too high, another's too low, then that kind of screws with things a bit, you know. It's not really what you want. So those were kind of the important parts of getting the lay-in of the head right. And here, I just kind of time-lapsed. This whole drawing took me about like an hour and a half. So here I'm kind of time-lapsing in the way that I shade. So what's really important to do is sort of squint your eyes at the drawing, kind of squint your eyes and try and see where the big value sort of differences are. Where you try, because what you're trying to do is separate light from shadow. So you can see that shadow coming off the nose, the underside of the upper lip. Just the lips in general are darker. Their local value is a bit darker than the skin. You know, that neck area is darker. And you basically just want to separate that kind of the way you saw me do there. And you're going to see kind of what I was talking about the eyes here. I try to make one graphic shape of everything going on with the eyelids, the iris, the tear ducts. It's all one big graphic shape. And that kind of makes sure that your drawing looks a little bit less stylized and a lot more sort of, you know, realistic, more correct, true to what you'll see in life if you look at it in the shadow shapes. So I can't stress enough also making sure you're using the right pencil for the job. You know, the HB's a little bit harder of a pencil. It can kind of get you smoother shading when you don't need to go too dark. But you see me using the black Blackwing pencil. That one's kind of the softer one. So that's kind of like your 4B pencil in a way, if you guys know the value system. And you can see here I kind of got the lips wrong, so I'm just trying to move them up. That's something that totally happens when you're drawing. You know, you make mistakes. It's just knowing how to roll with the punches, kind of knowing how to work with it. You know, graphite's kind of forgiving. This bristle board's really good stuff. So you can kind of make mistakes and then go over it and you'll be just fine. So it turned out that I got the ears kind of in a decent spot. I got them kind of close, so I didn't have to really move them around. But that doesn't always happen, you know. Just like the way I moved the lips. I had to move the ears. Or didn't have to move the ears here. Sometimes you got to move the ears. So the drawing kind of really comes together once you get the hair in. The hair tends to be a lot darker than the face, and that darkness all the way around the face just sort of makes the face pop. You know, you kind of get that contrast, and it just draws your eye right into the face. And this drawing does have a little bit more contrast than you can see now. Like an issue is that you're seeing some of the light bouncing off the graphite back up into the camera, but yeah. You can see I'm just trying to, in the hair, you know, I have to do a separate video on how to get the hair right. You're just trying to match the direction of the mark making. And so this is the final drawing. I kind of took it away from the light so you can see the graphite isn't shining too much. You can see a little bit more contrast now. So I hope this helped you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. This is my first ever tutorial, like art tutorial video putting up. So just let me know how I can make it better. I'm sure I was kind of bumbling around a little bit. I'm sure you could tell it's my first time doing one of these. So thanks for watching. If you liked it, just you know, comment, let me know, like the video. I'm going to be putting more of these up, so if you want, you can subscribe. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.